What? Yeah. Welcome back to Danny Mac's Awful Podcast. I'm getting all Nicki Minaj on you there. What's up? It's D-Map, Danny Mac's Awful Podcast. I'm Danny Mac. I'm the motherfucking host. And aren't my intros so much better when I'm doing a solo pod? I don't have my dumbass, goon-ass friends here trying to touch my penis. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Samson, Matt, Johnny, and let's say Summer as well. Welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It is my second ever solo pod, so you get a power hour of me, the main goon, the man himself. And thanks for giving me your topics, your questions, and bullshit to talk about, because otherwise I wouldn't have dick all. But first, I got a couple things for you. One, I'm cracking this fridge ciggy. Here we go. Ooh-wee! If that didn't just kick off something in you. Summer's trying to quit Diet Coke right now, so if you're listening to this, I'm so sorry for the withdrawals that you're clearly going through. Time to get a sip on. Let's go, baby. Ooh, that's foamy. I sure do like that. Okay, folks, I'm recording this on Wednesday. It's going to drop Thursday night. That being said, I never really talk about anything at all that has to do with the news, but I do have one newsworthy, I mean, maybe you heard this week. Donald Trump wants us to know something about a friend of his. Maybe I can...
Who I believe will be coming, depending on what happens. He may be coming and he may not.
He may be coming, folks. He may be coming, and he...
Who I believe will be coming, depending on what happens. He may be coming and he may not.
He may not be. That's Donald John T. there, folks, letting us know about his pal, Vlad. He may be coming and he may not. We'll see if Vlad is tickled in the right way to be coming. So, what do we got going on this week? What's going on with me? Well, okay, I've been on set for season 3 of School Spirits, and that's going well so far. And, excuse me. Oh, geez Louise, that gassy DC is hitting my throat there, folks. And had a couple great scenes the other week. I guess I can't really say anything about it, but I did want to, fresh off of a pretty heavy industry episode last week. I don't know if you guys listened to that one. It's a good one, though. You should listen, especially if you're in the film industry. And if you're not, you will probably find it interesting as well, he said, hoping that anyone finds any of this interesting. But a bunch of you reached out to me, and you said that you really did like that episode last week. So for those who don't know, my agent was on, Danielle Bilodeau. She's a talent agent with The Characters. That's the name of the agency. I'm pretty sure I'm getting that right. Is that the full name? Things I should probably know. The Notorious MKA was here as well. That's Matthew Kevin Anderson. He's an acting coach and an actor, and he's one of those acting coaches who is a consistently working actor. He's always in the trenches, so he really knows his shit. I've done a couple great self-tapes with the guy before, so... hit him up. He'll probably be too busy, but he's a good dude. And Johnny was here as well, just to bring down the IQ level to something a little more manageable for me anyway. But I don't want to go too much into craft stuff this week. Let's get back to some stupid shit. But I will say, because I was on set a few weeks ago, we were doing a pretty emotionally demanding an emotionally demanding scene, and I was ready for it. But I think by the time it came around to me for my coverage, which essentially means my close-up, if you don't know, by the time it got to me for my coverage, we'd done the wide, which is where you film everyone doing it, and then you get everyone else's coverage, and then it finally came around to me, and I gotta be honest, I was a little drained by the end of it, and I thought to myself, geez, did I do my best work in the wide? But in those cases, you just have to listen to the director and believe them when they tell you that they are happy. And I'm sure every performer is their own worst critic, or at least I invite you to consider being your own worst critic. I think we all know people who think that they're the best of the best. But, really consider that I do my best work right now. And And I'm not sure if I did when the coverage came to me, but that was just my opinion, and I kept it to myself, and now I'm telling the world. So I talked to MKA after that, and he said, yeah, you got to keep a little bit in the tank for when the coverage comes around on you. And noted, from now on, I will be dead-faced and monotone when I am being an eyeline for my fellow actors. And when it comes to me, then I'm going to bring it, baby. Then I'll be coming.
I believe will be coming.
Yeah, that's
depending
right.
on what happens. He may be coming and he may not.
So when that airs, I'll probably be blown away by my performance, as will you. And this whole topic of conversation, completely pointless. I want to give a big old shout out to Kevin Nealon, former SNL Weekend Update news anchor, actor extraordinaire, and legendary stand-up comic, for a great show that he put on at the Rio Theater a few days ago here in Vancouver. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see it because my friend Samson forgot that's when the show was, and our tickets went to waste. So, Kevin Nealon, if you're listening to this, and I know that you are, those 2 empty seats in row C, yeah, that was me and Samson Burke. So you can send your ire and your hate mail, your hate DMs, your hate-filled DMs over to Samson there. And he was very upset that he forgot about it. And next time I see him, I'm going to strike him about the face. And maybe he'll learn from that, and probably not. It was probably just a nice waste of money. But hey, if Kevin Nealon's got a couple bucks in his pocket, and the people who should have been flanking us in those seats had somewhere for their coats and purses, well then, well, I don't know how to finish that sentence without sounding bitter. Time for another sip. Oh yeah. Boy, it's weird not having anyone else here, because I got to tear through this DC one way or another, right? I mean, don't I? Before I get into your questions, I'll just tell you something I'm watching right now. I'm watching an animated series for adults, okay? It's called Pantheon, and it's on Netflix. And this show is incredible. I forgive Samson a little bit because he recommended this one to me. If you don't know or you're not familiar with the show, it's sci-fi, but set in current day. And it's almost... it's about uploaded intelligence. So I'm sure you guys have all heard about the theory or the practice or the, billionaires talking about, well, what if you could upload your entire consciousness online, and then when your body fails you, you still have your working mind, hypothetically. So it's all about that, and there's some great parallels between like the death of Steve Jobs and what he would have wanted going forward in the future, and what does it mean to be human, and yeah, it's really good. It's great stuff. So I was kind of wondering like why not many people have heard of it, and apologies if you have and you're screaming right now. Like, I've seen this show, but I wonder why the show Invincible was so popular. Invincible, the Amazon show with Stephen Yeun and Sandra Oh and J.K. Simmons, and huge cast. That animated show, obviously it's a superhero show, and it's really violent. So it's like, if The Boys was a cartoon, and so that's going to attract people to it. Plus, it's Robert Kirkman, and it's, it's really incredibly well done. But it just makes me wonder, like, what is it about Pantheon that's not quite as culturally ubiquitous as Invincible? But then again, maybe Invincible is not that big a deal, and I'm just hyper nerdy. But I say, give Pantheon the old college try. And if you've never seen Invincible, you were probably OD'd on superhero stuff, but I'm going to tell you the same thing about Pantheon as I do for Invincible. Just watch the entire full first episode, and if by the end of those episodes you are not into the show, then it's not for you. But I would be surprised if you were not intrigued enough to want to check out the second episode. So there's some good animated shows for you to watch for adults, or for your whole family if you're a bad parent and you don't really give a shit. Speaking of stuff that's on TV, this is the old style TV, television. This is the one where they decide what's on for you. It's almost like they got a DJ back there. But me and Big Ron Partlow, I get to say this now, friend of the pod. He's actually like a dear friend, so friend of the pod is kind of a downgrade. But friend of the pod, Ron Partlow, we're both big David Letterman fans. My friends, most people know that I'm just an absolute huge Letterman head. And The Late Show with David Letterman was just one of my all-time favorite things. And I think he's just one of the funniest, sharpest minds in comedy. there's the Letterman channel now. And I think it's if you have a Samsung TV or something, it's just 24/7 nonstop clips of Dave's show that he has done for ever and ever. I mean, the guy was a late night show host for, I think, over 30 years. And he had that late show gig for, geez, I don't know, 20, maybe more than 20. So there's tons of footage. And I mean, there's gold on there, man. Like, as good as Norm Macdonald was on Conan O'Brien, like, his best appearances were always on Dave. And I think part of that has to do with how much Norm Macdonald respected and loved David Letterman. And you could almost tell in those earlier appearances, Norm was just a little nervous. You could tell he was really trying to please Dave. And it's extra funny because he would do a David Letterman impression on Saturday Night Live. And I guess Norm asked Dave or told Dave ahead of time, like, dude, I don't want you to think I'm making fun of you. I'm going to do an impression of you. And, you know, Dave liked it and approved. And he always really liked Norm. Excuse me. It's going to be a gassy episode here, folks. But yeah, the Letterman channel, if you get a chance to watch it. I mean, like, Letterman has uploaded some of his best stuff to YouTube, so just go subscribe to the Letterman on YouTube. Subscribe to my fucking podcast on YouTube while you're at it. Could use some more subs on there. Danny Mac's Awful Podcast. Give it a subscribe and like. God, I can't believe I'm a person who says that now. Disgusting. Kill me. But beyond the Norm Macdonald stuff, there's like the, you know, if you guys have not seen the Joaquin Phoenix on Letterman interview, it is all time, dude. It is all time. What I didn't know at the time, and that Dave has admitted later, is that he knew Joaquin Phoenix was going to be in character during that thing. So I thought Dave was just completely thrown through a loop. Dave's doing some good acting there. Like, you know, he's acting pretty baffled by Joaquin. And, you know, I guess it doesn't require someone to be theatrically trained to be baffled by what Joaquin was doing there. But man, Dave ends with the funniest line ever. Joaquin Phoenix is out of it. He's got his beard, his sunglasses, his shaggy hair. He's not answering questions. He seems like he's on drugs or half his brain doesn't work. And at the end of the interview, Dave says, well, Joaquin, I'm sorry you couldn't be here tonight. And oof, it was so funny that Joaquin Phoenix, folks, the JP, those are his initials, Joaquin Phoenix. He broke character. You can see him smirk and break into a laugh a little bit. And then he fully breaks character when the interview ends with the camera still rolling, and he turns to Dave and like shakes his hand and apologizes. Apparently, you can't hear that, but that's some good stuff. I think most of you know Letterman is like an old guy, but you know, when he was younger, he would do pranks. So there's a lot of good stuff where Letterman is like at Taco Bell and people are going through the drive-thru and Dave is just fucking with them. And that stuff is gold, baby, gold. And Ron brought up the interview with Katie Holmes that Letterman did. Guess this is right after she started her relationship with Tom Cruise. And Dave's just prying like, what? How long have you known you're dating Tom Cruise? Speaking of Tom Cruise, his Letterman interview where he talks about someone passing out on a plane is fucking amazing. And I know a lot of people think he's a weird guy, and maybe he is, but it's like such a charming, funny way he tells this story. And you got to check that out. And then all this stuff with Paris Hilton and Justin Bieber and Richard Simmons. And Dave was kind of a bully, but at the same time, like, it's kind of what people wanted from him, to be a bully. So anyway, the Letterman channel is good shit. Pantheon is good shit. You know what's not good shit? It's / maybe the best thing I've ever seen. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but hold on to your wigs and keys, folks, because I have got a funny internet thing for you to check out. Maybe you can pause the pod and go look at this or look afterwards. But Will Smith released a video to hype up a tour he is doing of some of his new music. And people have been pausing when it hits the crowd and noticing that a lot of the people in these crowds appear to be AI generated. And I watched the video, and then I read the caption. It's like, people think Will Smith is AIing his fans in the stadium. And I'm like, no, I watched it. It didn't really seem that weird. And then I saw the screen grabs, and oh my God, this shit is haunted as fuck, man. This shit is so bogus looking. There are absolutely like dudes whose noses are like under their eyes, and like no one's expression looks right. And people are holding signs up, and one said like, your song helped me beat cancer, which is, I hope that's AI, because if a person thought of that, there's just no hope left for that person. Maybe the cancer should have got you. That's all I'm trying to say. But Watch that. It is ridiculous. And it's funny that it's Will Smith being accused of it too, because what was all of our introduction to AI? It was Will Smith eating spaghetti. There's something about artificial intelligence that this guy either is going to be associated with forever or he just can't escape. It's sort of like when Viagra came out and Bob Dole did the Viagra commercials. And then people just started thinking of Bob Dole when they got their dick nice and firm. You know what I'm talking about? No? You don't know what I'm talking about?
If you get the opportunity, you should kill yourself.
Maybe I will! Maybe I will, Dad. Hold on, I gotta drink some DC. Here's the DMAP theme in the meantime.
My neck, my back, lick my pussy and my crack. My neck, my back, lick my pussy and my crack.
That was okay. I tried to pause it at the right time there. It didn't quite work. Okay, well, maybe we should get into your questions. I kind of wanted to do a summary, a review of the pod so far. And that was kind of the basis of some of the questions that I asked you guys. So I think we're, 7-8 months into the podcast now. I said I would do an episode a week for a year and see how it felt, see where I was at. And if I'm being honest, I am either high in the sky in love with this thing, or I am dreading doing it and so sick of the work involved in it. And even though Summer is editing all of the reels that you guys see me post online, and that's one thing I don't have to do, I'm still doing the audio editing for those. And I just can't stress enough how when you think about doing a podcast, which I bet you have, everyone on earth has thought about doing a podcast because 90% of us actually do a podcast eventually. When you think about doing a podcast, I tell you, the stuff you're thinking about is so much different than when you're actually doing one. And now I'm thinking about why certain YouTube videos have just completely face planted for views. And I don't know. I'm thinking about, can I steam clean my couch after the goons are sitting on it and doing their gross gooning? I'm not thinking about that really, but it's crazy. I'm just like, I got to post another thing and do this and that. So whenever you guys tell me like you've shared the pod with friends and you got other people listening, that just makes my sweet ass day, my friends. That does a lot for me because it's oddly overwhelming. And it's not hard work. That's the weird thing. It's just like, I don't know. It's like doing the dishes every single day, but it just takes a long time. So I'm just going to say I'm not complaining. I'm fully complaining. My life is terrible, and I hope it all ends soon. But that being said, you're still going to get at least until January 30th, 2026 of podcasts. That will be the 1 year. And then at that point, I don't know, maybe the Patreon will get going, or maybe I will walk away from this shit forever. But the experiment continues, and it sure has been fun having you guys along for the ride. I know I keep saying before I get into your questions, but I've got some drops that I've just never played before that I love that just don't seem like guest appropriate. Not that they're like offensive, but this one, maybe you've heard it before. It's this like surfer dude that got interviewed and he's on the news. Here we go.
Drop down, snap, and then after that, you just drop in, just ride the barrel and get pitted. So pitted like that.
So pitted. I don't know. That one's fun. That's like my cheese all through the bitch. That's like drops I like that I'll probably never play again. But
Drop down, snap.
He's describing a wave, by the way. He's just describing like going surfing. And oh fuck, I'm hot as balls in this apartment, guys. The summer of bad audio continues because the windows are open. I gotta turn the Dyson fan on. I'm gonna pause this for a sec. You won't even notice I'm gone. Uno momento. And we're back, folks. I just realized, I don't even have to say when I'm leaving or not. Like right now, and I'm back. Guess what? In that time, I went downstairs. I killed one of my neighbors. I told them not to smoke in the building, and they refused to listen to me. Okay, let's get into what you guys want. All right, let's see here. My buddy Raza. I know I said most of these would be anonymous, and they will going forward, but Raza asked for my WWE takes, specifically about Mick Foley. So I loved pro wrestling growing up, and then when I turned whatever age I started smoking weed and not caring about anything else but doing that with my friends, that's when I stopped liking pro wrestling. But I still had such a fascination with the business because the behind the scenes, the backstage stuff, that's what's interesting to me. But when I was a kid, I was fully bought into it. And Mick Foley Maybe you know him as Cactus Jack. Maybe you know him as Dude Love. Maybe you know him as Mankind. And he would go, have a nice day. Oh, I got a funny story about that, actually. They used to play it was F back then, pay-per-views, and you could go see them at the movie theater. And the movie theater would play those pay-per-views live. And to kind of keep the fans engaged, some dude who worked at the theater who normally gives you your popcorn, he'd come out, and he'd go on the mic, and he'd go, hey, we're going to do a contest for some swag. If anyone can do an impression of a wrestler, come down here. And, I was just fearless, and I went down there in front of everyone, and people did their impressions, and it came to me, and I'd always made my friend Chris laugh with my terrible Mankind impression. It's basically what I just did. So the mic got around to me, and the theater was packed, man. Like, wrestling was a big deal back then. So it was like 300 people in this movie theater, and it comes to me, and I just go, yeah, have a nice day. That was it, and I just got booed, folks. Oh, I felt the booze hitting me in my very soul.
If you get the opportunity, you should kill yourself.
And I did kill myself. Well, I died a little bit inside. Everyone's booing a kid. Man, what the fuck? So I got no swag. And then I realized that was what I was missing, in fact. Not the swag that I wanted to win, but the swag with which I should have been performing. So next pay-per-view comes around the following month, and I go to it. And this time, I do an impression of a wrestler who's got a little bit of attitude to him. His name, maybe you've heard of him, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, folks. That's right. I did my Dwayne The Rock Johnson, folks. And let me tell you something, brother. I blew the fucking roof off that movie theater, okay? And not only did I win, but, yeah, I won. That's kind of the end of the story. I got a t-shirt or something like that. But damn, I felt good. And then every month after that, I'd go and watch pay-per-views or I'd do my Rock impression. I think I won like 4 or 5 times. Me and my dad went once, and unfortunately, oh, yeah, I think the time I went with my dad is when I did the Mankind impression. So my dad watched me get booed by a theater full of 300 wrestling fans. And my dad didn't even like wrestling. When I think back about me and my pops growing up, that's one where I'm like, boy, he really took some for the team, getting dragged to a fucking theater full of teenage wrestling fans while your son gets booed for his terrible Mick Foley impression. But anyway, Mick Foley was notable to me because he has some of the most iconic matches ever, and then people who don't even know pro wrestling have probably seen The Undertaker throw Mick Foley off of the Hell in the Cell through the table below, and Mick Foley's tooth goes up through his nose, or through his upper lip, and so it's like sticking out of his nose or whatever. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy, but Mick Foley's also very funny and articulate and interesting, and so he wrote a memoir, and his autobiography was one of the first autobiographies that I read. It was probably the first one that I chose to read on my own that wasn't a school assignment when I was a kid. And I'd read no books before, so I was like, this is the best book ever written, dude. But I remember rereading it years later when I was writing Heel Kick, my backyard wrestling movie, and it was still really entertaining, and he's definitely a good writer. So after he wrote that, he became a New York Times #1 best-selling author, and I'm sure Vince McMahon got a piece of that, or maybe just Mick Foley did. Whatever happened, every single wrestler on the roster was like, okay, well, I got to do my book now. And shortly after that, Stone Cold's book came out, The Rock's book came out, Bill Goldberg's book came out. Every wrestler started releasing a book, and there was just diminishing returns on all of them. I don't know if it was a race to get these out there, or if Mick Foley was just that much better of an author than these guys, but more quote-unquote interesting or successful professional wrestlers, their books were worse, dude. But I did learn that The Rock played CFL football for the Calgary Stampeders at one point, my friends. And so him doing the sharpshooter every now and again, I guess that's okay with this Albertan boy. That's fine by me. Other WWE takes. Stone Cold remains the coolest guy ever. His Instagram is great. He's just so honest, too. The dude has had such a cool career, and he's got no ego at all, man. When people ask him about his matches, he's like, oh, I shit the bed on that one. But who was that, Landman, who just came in for a second? I got to work on my Stone Cold. Got to get my Stone Cold impression back. It's sort of Alex Jones. I'm not sure if I'm happy with that right now. But, yeah, dude, I saw this video where Stone Cold's like, yeah, man, my lower back's weak as a fucking kitten. It's fucking embarrassing, dude. And I'm like, bro, fucking no other wrestlers are talking like that. Like, Hulk Hogan just died, and he was saying that he was like the best fucking dude who ever did it every single time he did it, like up until probably the minute before he had a heart attack. But Stone Cold still cool as hell. John Cena becoming a legend is wild to me because I remember his first few matches, and then I remember him pivot to a battle rapper. That was his persona, and he released a hip-hop album for real, and he was like too much of a baby face, like too much of an obvious good guy. Like, it was like an industry plant, so to speak. Like, oh, they want us to cheer for this guy, so let's boo him. Now, that happened famously to The Rock. When The Rock first came out, he got booed mercilessly. But, you know, the boss set him up to be the next good guy, and he would win his matches, and he would never cheat, and he always had a smile on his face. And eventually people started chanting, die, Rocky, die. Just people were, like, sick of that shtick. Like, no one wants another all-American hero. So people are just booing The Rock. Before he was even The Rock, he was just Dwayne Johnson then. And then Dwayne Johnson, like, wisely pivoted. And he started becoming just a pompous, rude asshole and became one of the best heels ever, and people just ate that up. So he did the pivot, but John Cena never did. John Cena went heel for the first time, like, I don't know, like 6 months ago, I guess, when he beat up Cody Rhodes. I think that's what's going on right now. Fuck, I was at the pay-per-view. I saw it. I wasn't there, but I was at a bar, and they were playing it. You know, I like to take a few back every now and again. But yeah, him becoming like a legend is wild, and I love the guy as an actor, man. I think he commits. I think he's one of the funniest dudes. Funny big men, which we need. Funny big men, folks. We don't have funny big men anymore, do we?
Who I believe will be coming.
That's right. And The Undertaker is funny too because he's just like a professional podcast guest now. Like, every time I open my For You page, it's like Taker in a red hoodie, out of character, no mascara on, doing interviews on some podcasts. And let me tell you, folks, nothing takes the mystique out of the character The Undertaker like seeing Mark Calloway talk about how he thinks Trump's economic plan is going to be the best thing for this country in a long, long time. It's just very jarring to see Taker doing stuff out of character, but that's just the way it is now, man. Like, kayfabe is dead, and wrestlers talk about everything all the time now, and it is kind of cool. So, yeah, I think it's a good time to be a wrestling fan. I've just moved on, folks. I'm into grown-up stuff now, like playing remastered versions of Tony Hawk that I already played 1,000 hours of when I was a kid, and playing Fortnite, of course. Ooh, gorillas are available in Fortnite now. No, not the animal. The electronic cartoon band. Again, everything's about cartoons with me, unfortunately. Okay, some other questions here. Sorry, that was a long WWE Takes one, so if you're not into wrestling, you have checked out by now. Your thoughts on pegging. Okay, we've got some comedians here. Well, I'm going to assume that pegging means doing Peggy Hill cosplay from King of the Hill. So in that case, when it comes to pegging, I'm all for it. And I'll be honest, I want to get into pegging myself, but I'm worried I don't have the frame for it. So shout out to everyone out there who's pegging life away. And if there are any accounts where I can see you pegging, I'd love to watch. So DM me anything related to pegging, assuming that it is Peggy Hill cosplay. Let's see here. Everything Landman is great. Well, that's good. I'm glad you enjoyed those 2 episodes where Landman showed up. When Simon Barry was on the podcast, I was going to do a full Landman episode because Natalie Reyna was going to be here, and she was going to sort of reprise her character as the damsel in distress who Landman saves. But she couldn't last minute, and then I'm like, well, I'm not going to do a full Landman with just Simon Barry. So that's when I did that, just pitched him an idea for a show called Landman in Space. Taylor Sheridan still hasn't gotten back to me on that one, by the way. Thank you very much for nothing, TS. But yes, I'm glad you like the Landman. Perhaps Landman will return again. I do have another stupid fake parody of a show I'm going to write a script for and do that on the pod in the future. So something to look forward to if you have very little to look forward to in your life. What else do we have here? Most embarrassing fart. Shut up, Matt Graham, you stupid idiot. These are my friends. What is with my life? This life sucks. I need to surround myself with winners. Who's your most annoying recurring guest? That would be Matt Graham. That was asked by Johnny. You're close on that list, you son of a bitch. Let's see here. What happens to Maddie? Is Simon dead? Fisherman? ? These are all questions about School Spirits, which I am on. I don't want to ruin anything for folks who are just getting into the show, but season 2 is when I show up, and there's kind of a big mystery around who I am. What happens to Maddie? Is Simon dead? It's tough to ask me these questions because, I don't want to get sued, and I'm Mr. Paramount Plus, folks, and I would hate to have a falling out with Paramount Plus. Who am I, Stephen Colbert over here? Who am I, South Park over here? So Mr. Paramount Plus is okay, since it's just us girls, I'll tell you. Maddie becomes an ICE agent, and Dean Cain and her fall in love and run off into the sunset together. Don't tell anyone I said that, okay? That's a scoop, my friends. That is a scoop. Boy, how about that Dean Cain, huh? You guys know him? He played Superman on the television back when I was a lad, and now he's an ICE agent fighting for something. I'm not quite sure what it is. Is Simon dead? Fisherman? I can't really say any more of that, folks. Something exciting. Would you ever consider doing more than one podcast in a week? There might be, for the first time. That's crazy that you'd ask this question, Mom, when I asked you to ask this question. I might do 2 pods in a week this week. I've got Summer and Natalie possibly coming up this week. I might drop that one on Monday and then have a brand new one on Thursday. So we'll see about that. Can you tell us anything about future guests? Yes. Natalie's going to be back. Natalie is pregnant, so I'm going to make fun of her, I'm sure, for that. Let's see. Who else do we got here? I've got a cast member from School Spirits who's going to be coming on the podcast. Biggest mistake of his life. And yeah, the Deb Podolsky episode is coming. We're both very busy right now. And I just started class today, actually. Another month of scene study or advancing the scene, or I don't know what it's called, but started another scene today, and I'm with an actress named Phoebe Mew, and she's very funny, and our scene is very funny and ridiculous and chaotic and silly, and it's about these 2 people who are so incredibly comfortable in life that they are bored to death, especially her, and they try and break out of their shell. So does that go well? Well, no, it doesn't, with hilarious results, folks. As for other guests, again, people said that they really kind of got something out of Danielle being on, my agent, and I did think she was pretty brutally honest with some questions. There was a couple questions that you guys anonymously asked me to ask her, and there was one, she fucking didn't hold back. I was like, is it tough to get more money for your clients if they're Canadian? She's like, yes. Oh, okay. All right. Glad we settled that one. And, we had a whole chunk on union and non-union stuff. So if you're kind of only catching up with the reels that I post, union and non-union stuff is pretty heated debate here in this neck of the woods. So, yeah, I think that's definitely worth listening to. But it's definitely going to be something that we revisit. And I think throwing her in with a casting director is a good idea, and maybe MKA back as well. Matt Graham has some great questions that he wants to ask, and I think we're at a point now where no one's really afraid of offending anyone, and we're not really afraid of walking on, or we don't want to walk on eggshells to sort of protect anyone's feelings. If it's all honest, it's all for the best, and so just kind of getting that shit out there, I think, is a good idea. So. Yeah, that's a sign of things to come. And, of course, this is all before I inevitably quit the pod. Let's see. Do I have any new jokes for you guys today? That's it for your questions. I wouldn't have minded some more, but I guess we're done. So let's see. What's this joke? Oh, that one's not ready yet. It's going to be a nasty one, though, so tune in for the future for that. Before we wrap up here, it's a solo pod, and I wondered if there's any games we can play. And I thought we could still play First to Worst. If you guys recall, that's 5 things are listed, sometimes within a category, sometimes not. Sometimes they have nothing to do with each other. And I have to list them first to worst, and I thought you guys could guess what my order is going to be. And maybe you can compare it with your own order, and that'd be fun. All right, so first to worst, here are 5 random things that I'm going to have to list. So pay attention, because you're going to have to figure out what I think the worst of these is, all the way up to the best. Now, the category is hangover cure.
If you get the opportunity, you should kill yourself.
No, you just had a rough night. You just have a hangover. Don't do that. Okay. So in no particular order, here are 5 hangover cures. So we've got hair of the dog. That means more booze to all you teetotalers out there. We've got a greasy breakfast. We've got electrolyte drinks like Gatorade and Powerade and such. We've got a cold shower, and we've got just suffering in bed. So those are the 5 ones my close personal friend ChatGPT decided to throw my way. So hangover cures. Once again, I'm going to tell you my order of these things from the worst, the last thing I'd want to do, to the best, which is the first thing that I want to do with a hangover. So again, that's hair of the dog, a greasy breakfast, electrolyte drinks, cold shower, and just suffering in bed. All right, you think about it, okay? You done? You thought about it? Here's a little think about it song.
My neck, my back, lick my pussy and my crack.
What? Okay. I've got my order, folks. Spoiler alert, I did this before I even started rolling. Let's see if you can guess what my hangover cure order would be. Okay. First of all, ahem. Of those 5 things, what would be the worst thing to me as a hangover cure? The worst option out of those to me is a cold shower. Now, I will say this, especially on this hot as balls day, a cold shower is not a bad thing, and you absolutely will feel better afterwards. And I'm not a cold plunge guy, okay? I may be a bro with massive 75-inch pythons, and I may be the most muscular man you've ever even heard speak before, but I'm not an ice bath guy, and I don't have cold showers all the time. Sometimes I do, but, I get chilly in there. I want to be cozy. So, I don't know. I think if I was hungover, I would enjoy it afterwards, but actual during, I'd be like, ugh. So that's kind of the worst thing to me. If I have a hangover, don't throw me in freezing cold water, even though it'll probably do something good for the hangover. Okay. What's my next thing that I wouldn't want to do? This is the second worst option to me, and this option has changed as I've gotten older, but it's hair of the dog. When I was younger, and I would have a few bevies, the next day, sometimes you got to get a Caesar in you. Sometimes you got to get a Bloody Mary, Sometimes you got to have a Long Island iced tea. You know what I mean? You got to bounce back somehow. But now, guys, I just got to get through this hangover because it's going to last me 2 days now because I'm 64 years old, my friends. I'm Nintendo 64 years old. Is that the funniest number I could have said? I don't think so. Maybe I went a little old with that one. Because I'm 52. If someone believed that, I'd be pretty crushed. So yeah, hair of the dog, a.k.a. having more booze when you're hungover now. Like, look, if I'm on vacay with the boys for doing the boys trip, absolutely, sure. But I still want a few hours before I dive into more sauce, okay? So that's my second worst option when I'm hungover. Now we're in the middle ground here, okay? What's my third worst option? Now we're getting into stuff that's actually okay when I've got a hangover. Number 3 for me is just suffering in bed, folks. Now I know that you are suffering if you're just suffering in bed, but you're in the darkness. You can go on your phone. You can fall back asleep if you want. And the longer you're up, the more tired you're going to be because you're not getting a good sleep when you're hungover. But maybe that good sleep will hit you after you've been up and on your phone for like 90 minutes, just scrolling through reels mindlessly and zoning out and reading all the text messages you sent the night before and hoping and praying to God that you can unsend them before they're read and then realizing, oh no, they can just open their MacBook and the iMessages will still be there. Shit, I hate myself.
If you get the opportunity, you should kill yourself.
Anyway, that's number 3 for me. Now, top 2 is my second favorite thing that I need for a hangover cure. Number 2 is electrolyte drinks. I needs me a Gatorade, and I got those like Mio hydrating that squirt. They squirt in your water. They squirt in your
Who I
water.
believe will be coming.
Yeah, they squirt in your water. And which is, I've had too much of those now, folks. I'm addicted to the water squirts, the Mios, the Crystal Lights. It's like, I can't just have a glass of water anymore. It's got to be fucking fruit punch. That can't be good, right? It's the closest I'll come to saying that RFK Jr. is probably onto something. Yeah, there's so much red dye, number 40, in my body right now. My piss is beet red, folks, is what I'm trying to say. Is that bad? Is that bad? And my number one thing, hangover cure, the best of the best, folks. What is it? You already know through process of elimination, but I'm still making you wait for it. It is a greasy breakfast. Oh, let me tell you something, brother. The thought of a greasy breakfast, that's what's getting me out of just suffering in the bed. Okay? Also, going to a breakfast spot specifically, like, you don't want to get up with a hangover and meticulously make your own greasy breakfast. You want to go somewhere. And best case scenario, someone you got drunk with the night before, they're down to go get some greasy-ass breakfast too. And then you can wallow in each other's self-pity and laugh at each other as you whimper while sipping your coffee because your body is so fucking hurting, and then you eat one bite of your food and then you think you're going to puke and shit your pants at the same time. And that's what it's all about, folks. That is my order. Cold shower, the worst. Greasy breakfast, the best. That's how to handle a hangover. I got one more of these. First to worst. Let's see if you can guess it, folks. This one is... What's this voice I'm doing? It's petty breakup reasons. I'm a big Seinfeld guy, folks. I like that show, and every week on Seinfeld, someone is dumped for a pathetic and embarrassing reason. Pathetic and embarrassing for the dumper, not the dumped, because they are very finicky in who they decide to be with. So here are 5, in a random order, reasons why you might break up with someone. Petty breakup reasons. This is not my order, but I'd like, as I list these, for you to think about what my order might be. Okay, so we've got chewing too loudly, bad texting etiquette, hating your favorite show, they have a weird laugh, and finally, liking your siblings' Instagram pics too much. That's quite an array of petty breakup reasons. Once again, that's chewing too loudly, bad texting etiquette, hating your favorite show, weird laugh, and liking your siblings' Instagram pics just a little bit too much, folks. All right, so what order would yours be in? But what do you think my order is going to be in? Starting with, and by the way, these can be a little confusing because they're petty breakup reasons. What does first to worst mean? Worst for me is that is not a reason I would break up with someone. And then first is, yeah, absolutely. If they do that, I'm dumping their ass. So it goes from the most petty to the least petty for me. That's how I'm doing it. So what is the lamest reason to break up with someone on this list? And what is the most valid reason to break up with on this list? And that's how we're going to do it. Okay, you think about it for this many seconds.
My neck, my back, lick my pussy and my crack. My neck.
When will I get sued by that artist? That's a good question. Okay, I've got my list. Have you thought about it? Here we go. Petty breakup reasons. Here is let's do worst to first, just like we did last time. So, this is the least likely reason, petty reason, why I would accept someone breaking up with someone, or why I would never break up with someone. Hating my favorite show. I don't care if you hate my favorite show. That's fun. We can argue about it. If you don't like my favorite show, Paw Patrol, whatever. Let's debate. Let's talk about it. Why don't you like Paw Patrol? Is it because the military is trying to brainwash you and into joining a police state? Probably. But the doggies are just so cute, though. And there's people who are there people who don't like Breaking Bad or Sopranos or The Wire? I know there's people who don't like season 2 of The Wire. I think I'm one of those people. Anyway, I think that would be the lamest, so that's my worst. The second worst, I find this also to be an unacceptable, petty reason to break up with someone. Weird laugh. I don't mind a weird laugh. In fact, I find weird laughs to be wonderful. If your laugh is weird, it's going to make me laugh, and then you get that ripple effect where everyone's laughing at the laugh, and, it's like a Russian nesting doll of giggles. It's just, you don't even know what you were laughing at in the first place, but more laughs are popping out everywhere. My friend Chris can do an incredible wheeze laugh. I can't do it as good as him, but it's... And he does a real good one. It was based on an old Mike Bullard impression that we used to do, and you don't know who that is, and that's okay, folks. Anyway, yeah, I would not break up with someone if they had a weird laugh. I would find that endearing. Okay, now we're in the middle. My list, number 3 for me, bad texting etiquette. Now, this is the first time I think that, okay, this is an offense, actually. Now we're getting into, this is going to be a relationship problem for me. Bad texting etiquette is rough. My buddy just had a bad texter, and the relationship went south, and they had to break it off because texting is unfortunately just how we communicate today, folks. It's just how we communicate. It's that and podcasting and yelling back at the hosts of Smartless as if you are in the room with them. It's I do remember that time, Sean. I do remember that time, Sean. That was very funny. Hey, Sean, why don't you go and eat some more Vietnamese food? Or whatever Will says to him when they bully Sean. I do like those guys. They're very funny. Bad texting etiquette. Yeah, I think get the fuck out of here, okay? If it's gonna... And by the way, I when I think bad texting etiquette, I'm thinking like not texting you back for a very long time, or when they do, they don't answer the question. Isn't that the worst? When you text, it doesn't even have to be someone you're in a relationship with someone that you're fucking and sucking. It can just be, hey, I texted you. Did you want to see a movie? And then 2 hours later, they get back to you and they're like, oh, sorry, I was at the gym. And you're like, but what about the movie, you son of a bitch? Luckily, I don't have any friends like that. When I text a friend, you want to see a movie? Within 1 minute, they're saying, hell yeah, dog. Tickets on me. And I get the sodas. And, okay, now the top 2. Now we're getting into reasons to dump a bitch. Or a witch, folks. I forgot I'm saying witch all the time now. That's my fun little insult for the month. Liking siblings' Instagram pics too much is my runner-up, pretty damn valid reason to break up with someone. I don't really think this is that bad, and it's almost not as bad texting etiquette, but liking siblings' Instagrams, I mean, that can just be weird. Now, I have an older sister. If I was dating a girl and she liked my sister's Instagram pictures, I wouldn't really give a shit too much. I mean, I get it. We all look good in this family. I mean, come on. But I could see that being a little creepy, you know? Like, and what does liking them too much mean? Well, I don't even want to let my imagination run wild with that. I just don't. So I'm going to say that's my runner-up, which means the number 1 petty breakup reason that I think is valid is chewing too loudly, folks. Chewing too loudly.
Drop down.
Yeah, you don't want to hear that when they're chewing across from you.
Snap.
Fuck, that guy's awesome. No, dude, chewing too loudly. Listen, eventually, the fucking and sucking. Now, I've heard this from old folk. Apparently, that goes away after a while. And what are you left with? Someone you get dinner with. And if someone is chewing too loudly, that's several times a day. You're just hearing mouth noise, which, not for me. No thanks. If I want to hear disgusting mouth noise, I'll watch a Tim and Eric sketch, okay? And then I'll love it, because that's where I want to experience it, because I can turn the volume down or turn it off when I get the heebie-jeebies, when I get the ick, as it's known. But yeah, that's a rough one. Chewing too loudly. Look, I'm a bit of a snob, too. Good table manners, folks. Come on! Yeah, bad table manners. That is a serious ick. I don't care. You can have your elbows on the table. I'm not the motherfucking Queen of England over here. But yeah, that one's a little disgusting. I like how the word turn-off got rebranded as ick, and Zoomers just feel like they discovered that announcing there are things they don't like about people they're having sex with is like new. It's like, no, that's just called a turn-off. Those have been around for a very, very long time. Speaking of rebranding of things, I want to talk for a minute about, you all know what I'm going to say, rice cakes. That's right, folks. Rice cakes have been getting away with murder for a decade plus now. And why? They tried to do a sneaky rebrand on us, okay? I'm talking about Crispy Minis. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Crispy Minis. We all know what those are. They are just bags of small rice cakes, and they have flavored powder on them. And they're delicious. I'll get some all-dressed Crispy Minis. I'll snack a bag of those. I'll inhale them. Shit, they're good. I'm only human. Come on. But Crispy Minis have tried to rebrand rice cakes in general because if you go buy just the normal rice cake from that same maker, they're still called Crispy Minis, but they're called like Big Crispy Minis. That's a rice cake, dude. There's not even like ketchup powder on them. It's not even dill pickle flavored. It's just a rice cake. It is not a large Crispy Mini. You are not getting away with this. This is not like when the world was fooled into thinking that things that are gluten-free mean they're healthy. And now just stuff like, bottles of water are like now gluten-free. You were always gluten-free. You are not tricking anyone here, sons of bitches. I tell you, these food companies are getting away with murder. You know what? RFK Jr. should hit them all with his car, keep their bodies in the trunk, and then go eat some strange meat out of them, just like he does with bears that he finds. I'm starting to think that's pretty cool, folks. Well, that brings me pretty much to the end of this episode, and on a note that I don't think that I would have gone out on any other time, but folks, it's almost an hour, and we may have 2 pods this week, so I'm going to leave you a little bit early. Anyway, I hope you like this solo pod, and as always, what's good about these is that I invite you to DM me on TikTok, Instagram. I don't know, you can just comment on YouTube how you think about the pod, what you like about it, what you want more of, things you're looking forward to. And I'll try and keep it as dumb as possible and occasionally have some interesting episodes and interesting guests. The Goons will be back. I know people like the Goon one. We're going to do a little poll in a few weeks here once the summer's officially done and see which of the artwork from all the podcast episodes this summer you guys like the best. I know what my favorites are so far, but I don't want to speak out of turn because we got 2 or maybe even 3 more to go before we can say it's a wrap on the summer of bad audio, which it kind of isn't. My Dyson's blown in my face right now, but I can hear the feedback. It's very minor. It's not too shabby. That's all, folks. Thanks for tuning in to Danny Mac's Awful Podcast. Going to leave you here at the 51-ish minute mark, and I will see you very soon. Please like and subscribe. I hate myself. On YouTube and follow on TikTok and Instagram. And if you got a couple bucks to spare, consider throwing some at the Patreon. That's patreon.com/DMApod. Whatever, you'll find it on there. It's pretty easy. Okay, kids, be safe. And I'll see you when I see you.
Who I believe will be coming, depending on what happens. He may be coming and he may not.
Drop down, snap, and then after that, you just drop in, just ride the barrel and get pitted, so pitted like that.